Hey guys, welcome to today's class. Another Monday with Sharkfin. My name is Vinny. I'm super excited to bring you, who is this? He doesn't have a name. Let's call him Silas. This is Silas today. This is my model. We're going to be going over just some basic ideas, some foundations of cutting, principles that you can memorize, understand, and apply to your haircuts. If you want consistency and control, I highly suggest that you guys study these principles and foundations. They're tried and true through and through, and they're going to come in handy in a variety of haircuts. So again, basic principle applied to haircuts that you can use for a variety and help you with anything from basic to advanced cuts and everything in between. So we're going to jump into today's lesson. I already have Silas prepped for you today. I sectioned out the top from the bottom, and today we're focused on transitioning, and we're going to focus mainly on elevation, when, why, how, and what it's going to do to the hair. Is it going to remove weight? Is it going to keep weight? And how to, again, just be consistent with this. So let's go over just some basics. Elevation, all right? Elevation, when you're lifting hair up, the projection of the hair, we talk about very common angles: 0, 45, 90, and you can add in the 180. Today, I'm going to be focused on low projection or a high projection and how that plays into length and weight. Let's keep this extremely simple, okay? So elevation or projection is going to determine or be determined from where the hair is on the head. So what part of the head are you cutting, and what is the projection that is going to produce the desired outcome? All right. So we're going to focus on the side and the parietal and messing around and manipulating and controlling the length and weight for the desired outcome. So one thing that I teach in the school principle here, all right, again, we have the side and the top sectioned off. I'm focused here. I have part of the parietal included in my sectioning, which is important to note because when we're talking about elevation and projection, it's important to know that I have part of the parietal here. That's where I'm going to manipulate the length and weight. Why? Because depending on the length that I want or the client wants, the desired length on top is going to determine what I do here. So side note, this is why consultation is extremely important. And you ask follow-up questions and specific questions. So on previous classes, I've given you 4 basic questions to ask people. I start with name. Have you ever been here before? When was your last haircut? What are you looking to achieve today? All right. These these questions are going to give me basic information that I can then go into asking more specific questions. When you're understanding these principles and how it plays into the final result, the questions of how they wear the hair on top or how they style their hair, that's going to be drawn out in that 4th question. What are you looking to achieve today? That can help you look ahead into, okay, how high am I going with my side cutting? How much length or weight do I need to leave in the transition area, in the parietal and the crown, to determine how much is on top? Okay, so as you understand these principles and foundations, I hope that it will draw out a better visualization of the end result and how you're going to get there. All right, so again, just a side note on consultation, I'm going to show you a couple different ways to achieve a longer look and a shorter look, and how the length and weight is going to play into that. Okay? All right, let's start with producing weight. So what are we typically going to start cutting with? If you're in the barbershop, you're most likely going to start cutting with a clipper. So I'm going to put a closed 4 on. I'm going to go up and off of the head here, and I'm going to create a weight line. All right. Thank you for punching in on that. You guys can see the weight line here. All right. So let's talk about this for a second. Remember, included in this cut here, I'm cutting 2 sections. I'm cutting the side and I'm cutting part of the parietal. So where is the weight coming from? What hair is being cut at a lower projection? If you're saying the parietal, you're correct. Okay? Hair cut below 90 degrees, okay, is going to produce weight. So it's going to increase length, which is going to increase the weight. As I elevate hair and move it more towards 90, it's going to decrease the weight and increase the layers. So it's going to take the length away, decreasing the weight. That is the basic principle you need to understand. Okay? Elevation and the degree at which you're picking the hair up at, it either builds weight and length or reduces length, taking away the weight. All right? Basic principles we need to understand. So, we produced a weight line. Now from here down, I can do whatever I want. You can go into going tighter, go into your fade. We're not worried about that today. We're worried about how to create weight and create a nice transition. So let's do this all the way around the head. Or we'll do it on the left side and on the crown. When I'm doing my clipper work, I always like to remind people right behind the ear, the head is changing shape. The parietal is higher than the crown. So whether you're using scissors, clipper over comb, or a clipper, you always want to dip towards the back. Okay, this is going to allow the transition area from the back to the top through the crown. That's your connection area in a basic haircut. All right. You can see how clean this cut is all the way around. And just by seeing from where the crown is and where I left the cutoff, you can see the length here is greater than on the side. Again, because the parietal is higher than the crown. So I need a little bit more room back here. Why? Sorry, I can't leave this out. Okay, in a finished haircut, we're creating a silhouette. We're putting a shape on top of a shape. Okay? So every time the head changes shape, there's a flat spot. When you're creating a silhouette and you're applying these principles, you're producing a desired shape. So we're hiding the flat spot in somebody's head. All right? So if I were to take this straight across to here, and I would cut about another inch or more off and bring this up here, then you would start to see the flat spot of the crown, and that would destroy the silhouette of the haircut. And these are the aesthetic aspects of the haircut that it's very pleasing to the eye. Okay. So where do we go from here? I put a closed 4 on and I go up and off the head. The other reason why I like this about teaching this is because it doesn't matter if you have a closed 4, a 3, a 2, a 1, the principle is still the same. All right? We're going to build a weight line and then take it away as we're moving. So, how do I remove this weight? Well, I need to elevate the hair above it. And before we do that, let's talk about how we find our guide. This is something I find that my students struggle with in school. I have a 4 on. That's a 1/2 inch. All right? So everything below the parietal here was cut at a 4 length, and as I went up and off, we increased the length. At this point, it's going to be what we keep on the head is as important as what we take off of the head. All right? So how do I find my guide? Elevate the hair that I need to that's causing the weight and blend the two. Well, you have to know that your comb can be as thin as about a 1.5. So if I push the comb up against the head and just start cutting, I'm going to go shorter than the 4. So how do we find the guide? I'm going to, with less pressure, I'm going to go start low. I'm going to go in and up, and then I'm going to go out until the 4 is flush with the comb. Can you see that, Fernando?
Yeah.
Okay. As I elevate, the uncut hair is going to hit the comb right there. That is what I'm cutting. I'll show you from this view, because this is why this can be a little difficult. You're cutting from this perspective, okay, from the side. Watch from the front. Here's what you guys are doing from the front. Remember, I'm pulling up the hair and elevating the parietal. So I'm going to find my guide. I'm going to start low. I'm going to go in, up, and then out 2. And then as I go up and that hair hits the spine of the comb, I can cut that. Look at the space between the comb and my section. That's what's leaving the length and the weight. Now look at the elevation. Pay attention to the elevation. If I keep it at a low elevation here, I'm going to keep length and weight. If I go higher, I'm going to reduce the length and weight. And if I go up and in slightly, this is 90 degrees for the parietal, which would take the most length and weight away. Okay? So let's just start with reducing length and weight with a slight elevation. So in, up, and then out 2, so it's flush, and then I'm going up. And then I'm going to cut what's left over in the comb. So I'm going to show you one more time from this perspective. Now I have 2 guides. The initial cut is the hardest cut. Once you make that cut and it is properly executed, you now have 2 guides. So the hair literally tells you what to do. The hair told you what to do from the bottom. And as soon as I make that cut, now I have a guide from the left and from the bottom. So you have 2 points of reference to check before you cut. So in, up, out, the guide, up. Make sure that it's flush on the left side. I got my guide underneath here, and now I can cut again. Can you see the reduction? I know it might be hard with the mannequin head. I apologize if it is. But can you see the reduction in the weight compared to the next section? All right. That's it. You can go with that exact procedure. You can go that slow. What I would like to share with you guys, if you're just starting out with this and you're trying to get better at it, go step by step. When you see people in the barbershop or you see other videos and they're doing this, and they're coming out with a product that's dang near finished, here's what they're doing. They're including 2 steps. They're polishing and they're cutting the hair and they're polishing at the same time. So what I just did here, they're doing that and polishing it at the same time. Why? Because when you elevate up and you cut this hair, right below it, you're going to have to then go in and blend the area with smaller cuts. When you see somebody coming in and doing this, see it? They're doing that in one step. All right? So again, let's keep it for you guys step by step. You just cut with the clipper. You built a weight line. I'm going to go in, up slightly, and out 2 to get my guide. I'm going to go up, and as soon as that hair starts hitting the spine of the comb, I'm going to cut. This is the step-by-step procedure. Right here, it's leaving a little length, and that's where then I'll go in again, in, up, and out. Slow comb, faster scissor. This is rhythmic. And now I'm blending the clipper work into the scissor work. One cut is not going to refine the haircut. I'd like to take a brief moment to talk about scissor control. All right. If you've noticed, when I'm working in my sections, what is recommended, or basic foundation too, when you're cutting shear over finger, what determines how much you should be cutting? All right, we use a reference point on our fingers. We don't want to cut past the second knuckle. So what I like to do is I like to imagine my second knuckle at the end of the comb, and I'm cutting to here. This is going to be for control. All right? As you're moving around, as you're moving in the section, the head is going to change shape. So I like to incrementally move so that the comb can go from a straight angle and then start to curve, transitioning from the side to the back. All right. Okay, let's drop a section down from the top now. And I'll show you how this plays into our top cutting. So I'm going to remove the bang. Again, we're creating connections. So in this haircut, we separated the bottom from the top to create a connection. And I like to section out the bang because we can connect the top to the bang and the side to the bang in a way that allows for more length depending on what the client wants. All right? Later class, just know that we're sectioning this out. All right. So now I'm going to include the rest of the parietal and the top, and we're going to start increasing length. Same principle is going to apply here. So I'm going to take a section and I'm going to pull it down. How do you know you have the appropriate amount of hair in a section? You should be able to see your guide. If you can't see the hair underneath the uncut hair, your section's too big and you're going in blind, okay? So we're going for control, consistency, and connection. All right. So what did we do before? We went in, up, and out to get the guide. And then we're going to elevate up to now cut new hair. Now this hair is from the top. So once I find that guide and I elevate up to and I cut, if I cut right at my guide, it's going to what? Increase length on the top or decrease length on the top? It's going to increase. So the lower I hold that hair at, the longer the hair is going to be. Now I'll show you from the front view, and then I'll show you what this weight line does. So now again, I have two guides, one from the left after my first cut, one underneath. And then let's talk about a quick principle here. The other control that you need is when you get that length, this is a very common mistake, as people elevate up, they do one of two things. As what I've noticed with my students is as they go to cut, they either push in on the comb or they pull out from where they're cutting. What is that going to do? Well, if you're pushing in and we're trying to build a shape, if you go inside the square that you're building, then you're going to have two shapes. You're going to have short hair sitting on long hair, sitting on short hair again, and you're going to have this middle ground, okay? If that happens, you have to connect that middle part, that ridge, and you're going to take the haircut shorter. If you're trying to control length, you want to try to stay in this plane going straight up and off the head. Again, this is a lot. You're trying to find the guide, you're trying to have the appropriate elevation, and you're trying to control the comb and keep it at the desired distance from the head. There's a lot going on. All right, I'm going to pull back another section from the top. We're going to pull that hair down, and we're just going to repeat the process, and I'll show you what this looks like on top. As I move to the back, I'm going to turn the comb slightly to follow that shape. To keep that silhouette. So in the back, I comb the hair horizontally, and I'll pull sections down and move up the head like that. All right, there's something key I want you guys to pick up on here before we wrap up. When I pull this hair straight down, you can see the weight line. Can you see that, Fernando?
Yeah.
Okay. This is where people get, I would leave this until I'm ready to polish. And I polish dry. So I would leave this for now. And I'll tell you why. In this haircut, I'll show you the difference. In this haircut, this weight line will help if we're combing the hair back. And it will help keep the shape of the haircut. If we remove too much length and weight, if I pick this, here's the length and weight here. If I pick this up and remove this here, I won't have the appropriate length to pull the hair back. And if I do, if it can still go back, the hair on the top is going to be layered and sit extremely short, causing your shape to go, instead of the shape going up and connecting up and over here, it's going to go up, in, and then up again, causing a disruption in your silhouette. All right, so I'm going to finish this briefly. So now I have the hair pulled all the way over from the center of the head. Notice I have less hair to cut. Why? Because I'm moving further away from my guide. Awesome. Now once this part is finished, I'll show you how this determines the length on top. And then I hope you guys can take these principles and apply it to your haircuts. And you can determine on a haircut what and why you're doing. Are you leaving weight and length so that the hair can move a certain way and to increase length on top? Or are you trying, they want a shorter haircut on top so you can decrease the length and weight as well. All right, I want to show you one other trick before we head out today. I got my man Fernando with me today, a student that's been with us for 600 plus hours.
Still under 450.
Under 450? Okay. Fernando's moving along very well in the program. And if you have any questions, man, please ask. I'm going to show this other principle. If there was something that I covered that you think would be helpful for other people to know, please ask. Okay. I teach a center profile guide at school. So center profile is on the top. I almost finished everything on the side and in the back. So watch this. As I go to connect the top, I'm going to have a guide in here. So here's all the hair that we cut. So now I'm going to start to elevate this and watch. I'm going to take, this is what we like to say in our school, I'm going to take the shortest, longest length. Now watch this hair falling out. That is key. That is going to keep your shape. So as I elevate up, depending on what I want on top, I want to increase, I want to keep this hair as long as possible on top. So I'm going to take the longest guide in here, and now I'm going to cut. And then I'm going to move up the head. And I'm going to follow that principle. Allowing for long hair on top. We'll come back in, and there should be a slight connection here. This is my refinement. After this, when I blow dry and finish this cut, if there is some weight that is undesirable, this is when I will use a blending shear, texturizer, or point cut that will remove some of the weight while keeping the length. That's when I'll go in and use one of those additional shears to finish my haircut, or an additional technique. So again, point cutting or using a texturizer or a blending shear. All right, guys, basic principles. Simple ain't easy. I don't know if you've ever heard that. I really hope that this was helpful. This is something that, again, it's not easy. We have to be able to understand it, apply it, go back to try and understand it. We talk about this at school. We watch people perform it on haircuts. We draw it. So those are the several different ways that we try to sink this principle in. You can have control and consistency with your haircuts by understanding projection, what low projection does, what high projection does, head shape, where you are on the head, and the desired outcome that you're looking for. Okay? So this is going to take time. It's going to take practice. So get to it. If you have any other questions, if you find this video helpful, please hit the like button. You can reach out to us, education@sharkfinshears.com. You can reach out to us on Sharkfin Shears on Instagram. We're here to help you guys. Hope you have a wonderful day. Again, I hope this was helpful. My name is Vinny. I'm signing off. See you next time. Yeah, you can go over and then you can hit finish.
Well, keeps going away. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, end recording.